Welcome to Wealthy Mind, where we talk about all things finances, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the surprising.
Welcome to Wealthy Mind. I am your host, Misty Rose Gold, International Success Coach, and today I have with me Peggy King. Hello, Peggy.
Hi, Misty. Thanks for
I'm
having me.
Yes, thank you for being on our podcast. It's amazing. I am so excited for this conversation with you. You are with Vectra Bank, correct?
Correct.
And your title is you are VP and branch manager, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I want to make sure I have that right.
Yep, that's right. Yep. I've been here in Lone Tree for 7 years and I haven't moved out of this location since I joined Vectra.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you've stuck with your career that long and one location.
I've been in banking 31 years this year.
Wow,
Long
congratulations.
time. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
So
and I see my future here at Vectra, to be honest with
do
you.
you?
I do. I
That's
do.
wonderful.
There's a lot of autonomy that's allowed here, that is permitted
Mhm.
here and encouraged. And I like working with that.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad that you
Yeah.
can see your future in front of you. That's pretty
hmm
awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So what do you like best about working with Vectra?
I would say really what I just spoke to was the autonomy. I am pretty much given a business plan
Hmm.
from Vectra, but I can think outside the box. I can change things up a little bit. I can look at my demographics in my community
Hmm.
and um, put a little bit more focus into what my community needs here. Communities are very different. They're very different. We have 34 branches, and I would say each community is very different. We're on the Western Slope, we're in the mountain
Hmm.
resort towns. They're operating in a different way than what I'm operating here. A North Branch may be operating differently than what I am here in Lone Tree. So I love the autonomy. I love the ability to go out into the community,
Mm.
volunteer my time. I sit on a couple of boards within the community. And I don't put a time card or a time clock. I get to come and go as my business needs dictate to me. So if I need to be in the branch, I'll certainly be in the branch. But if I don't need to be here, I'm out in the community giving back. And I really, really appreciate that piece of my career here with Vectra.
It sounds like it gives you permission to truly live your life, and it's kind of like running your own business, but not.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that for you. Their freedom is the word that I feel like you're
Oh, it's a
free.
huge piece of freedom that comes with this role. Um, I have, like I said, 31 years. I have worked for different institutions, and I don't have anything bad to say about them. But I will say, working for a community bank is much more fulfilling than working for the big regional banks or national banks.
Okay, now why is that?
Well, if you think about, we're a community bank, and so that community speaks to community.
Hmm.
I also sit on the board of directors for the Arapahoe Community College. Again, that's community.
Hmm.
And um, there's so much focus on what is happening across the street, what is happening around the corner. How can I participate? How can I give back? How can I shed light onto things? How can I make a difference? And I think
So
that is probably the biggest piece that I like with Vector Bank.
is
It's
community
community.
is
hmm
community one of your passions?
It is one of my passions. hmm
What about it means so much to you?
seeing the growth. I know how vital the community is to the residents of the community, and I know how vital residents of the community are to the small business owners. And it takes a village, right? It takes a village to get something lifted up off the ground. And if it means going to a ribbon cutting and celebrating with some small business owner, I'm going to go. I'm going to go and share in their joy and uplift them. And I don't go there to ask for anything in return. That all is going to organically happen. If they want to bank with me, they're going to bank with me. But I'm not out there saying, well, now that you have your grand opening, do you have your banking set up? Well, of course they do, right? Of course they do. That was the very first thing they did after they registered it online. So I understand that piece of it. And I do have people that will move and come over here and work with me, but it's because something happened at another institution typically that they will uproot, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to change banks.
Yeah, it is.
So whether it's personal or business. Yeah. But the biggest, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a tremendous amount of work. And you're talking about the community in Lone Tree. So your bank branch is in Lone Tree, Colorado. And I know from personal experience and also from interviewing Mayor Marissa that Lone Tree has a very unique experience to it. It has a very unique vibe to it. It has a very unique community that actually cares about community, because not all of the suburbs of Denver care about community. They're not community focused, but I know Lone Tree is.
It is very community focused. And, I had been here just a couple of years when COVID hit and the payment protection program was rolled out from the government, and it rolled out through SBA, and we're an SBA preferred lender. So we picked that up, and it was an all hands on deck situation. And then it was Mayor Jackie Millay, and then Jeff Keener, the CEO of the South Metro Denver Chamber, which is one of the boards that I sit on, they were reaching out to me. Can you take more? Can you take more? We have business owners that can't get a hold of their bank. They're not returning. And I said, yes, yes, I can. And I even solicited some help from some of my business partners because of the volume that was coming in from Lone Tree in the South Metro Denver area. I mean, it was incredible. So it really is about community, and this gives me chills to speak of what we went through back then. But it was an incredible experience, and to understand that those businesses were in a very critical situation on being able to not just thrive but survive that time period, because it was overwhelming and devastating.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for your service to the business community. Not just Lone Tree, but I know that you had businesses from all over the Southern Denver area. And I don't know how many people have stopped to say thank you, but I'm going to say thank you, because that was such a crazy time for business owners across the board. And I know so many that struggled, and so many had to close their doors, and some never recovered. So thank you for what you did to help the businesses that you did help.
Oh, well, thank you. That actually put the Vectra Bank Lone Tree branch on the map within the community. We did an incredible amount. Vectra Bank as a whole did over 6,000 PPP loans, 34 branches, right? And we did over 6,000. It was like 42. I'm not going to say, because I could get my numbers incorrect, but it was an incredible amount of volume that we did. And I look back and I think, gosh, if somebody had said this is going to be your job for the next 7 weeks, because it was 7 weeks, 7 days a week, 16, 18 hours a day. I was barely breathing, but adrenaline kicks in, and adrenaline will kick in, and you get through it because it was such a critical time. But the partners came together, they were helping me, and it was an incredible experience for sure.
Well, I'm sure the businesses are grateful for your sacrifice and all the effort you put into helping them.
Well, thank you. But it all circles back to community and relationships.
And that matters to you. It clearly does.
It does.
If relationships didn't matter, you wouldn't have put all that effort in.
Right. Yeah. You know, we were dealing with that. And then we were dealing with keeping branch operations up and running, open without anybody getting sick. And us having to close our doors because if one person had COVID, then you had to shut your doors and go through that cleansing process of the branch. And it was just an incredible experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm thinking about current day with businesses or for personal accounts. If somebody is listening to this podcast and they're interested, and they're in the Denver area, of course, if they're interested, they can reach out to you and your branch.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to know that they're going to have a bank that is going to go above and beyond for them, they can find that with you through your example that you set during COVID and during that tough time. That's an amazing example. And that just shows me that, you know what, Peggy's going to go above and beyond. I'm not just another number to her. I'm not just another number to Vectra Bank. Why? Well, maybe that's their policy, but number one, it's because Peggy's at the helm. I know I'm not going to be a number with this one, right? So that gives a lot of people peace of mind, especially with our personal bank accounts too, not just business bank accounts, but personally. It's like, yes, it's a lot of work to switch over our bank accounts. And one of these days I'll do it. One of these days I will find a local bank and I will switch everything over. But there's so
Mm-hmm.
much work involved. I'm like, why? What's the point?
Right.
Yeah. So this is one of those situations where you might encourage me one of these days to switch over, right? Because there might be such a great personal connection between us. I know that you're going to go above and beyond. Maybe your bank is the bank I choose because of that. Because it's more than just banking for me. It's more than just money. It's when I walk into a bank, do people know my name? That's important to me. And I know it's old school, but it still happens. And I'm like, okay, I missed that from my old bank, my current bank, but it's in Woodland Park. Every time I walked in Woodland Park, hi Misty, how you doing? I want that feel in the city.
It is so important. You know, I mentioned 31 years. I'm from the Midwest, I'm from Indiana, and I started banking as a teller. I wanted a career change, and they're like, oh, you're overqualified. We can't pay you what you're making. And I said, you know what? I'm not asking you to. And I
Mm,
understand what my resume says and what the job description is,
mhm.
but I want my foot in the door. And I really wanted to explore banking. I had no idea 31 years later I would still be doing banking, but it has happened and I'm okay with it. I have definitely found my passion that combines um, financial services.
Mm,
And I'm a numbers girl. I like working with numbers for whatever reason.
mhm.
And community, personal relationships, business relationships, community relationships. And I get to encompass all of that into what I do every day. And I get to wake up and think, here's another day. I'm checking my calendar. Do I have an event to go to? Do I have a ribbon
Mhm.
cutting? You know, what do I have? And sometimes I don't have anything out in the community, but then I can really put my focus on my team because I have to have a relationship with my team
Sure.
because they're the ones that are really running the operational piece of the branch day in and
Mhm.
day out. I'm just overseeing all of that, reporting it up, you know, to leadership, and then developing more relationships out in the community.
It seems to me that you really love what you do. Is that true?
It is true. It is true.
Oh,
I'm
good.
very passionate about what I do. Very passionate.
It's so important to be fulfilled in what we're doing. I don't care what it is, but we need to find that fulfillment. And I'm so glad that you have found that fulfillment.
I have. Thank you. Thank you. My company recognizes it. They definitely recognize that I have a vibe I don't know if that's the right word, but we're going to use that word, that
Okay.
I have, or we'll say passion, we can say passion. I am very passionate about what I do, and what I can offer to the community, and what I can bring to Vectra from the community.
Well, it definitely shows. Your fulfillment shows, and I'm sure they're grateful to have you. Vectra is grateful to have you. To
Oh,
have,
they are.
yeah.
Yeah,
I,
I feel it every day.
yay.
Yes, I do. And you don't get that from every company, right? You don't get that acknowledgement and opportunity relationship to have. I keep using the word relationship, and I know we're going to talk about
Yes, we
relationship
are. Yes, we are.
banking, but it really truly is all about relationships. Everything circles around relationships.
It
And,
does.
and yes.
In every industry. And the sooner people get on board with that, the sooner things make sense. Then you can analyze the truth of the situation. It's like I teach all of my business owners and executives to look for the truth. Now, how do we do that? We look at the health of the organization, not what we want, not how much money is going into our bank account, not our personal will, our personal desires, but what is the health of the business? And that reveals the truth. And then it brings us to relationships. What is the health of our relationships? If we have employees, what is the health of our relationship with the employee? What is the health of our relationship with the customer? And this is where people get down to the nitty-gritty of what truly makes everything tick in life and what makes everything move forward. It's not money, it's not possessions, it's relationships. So now that we're on that topic, let's talk about Vectra's way of banking. What is that?
I would encompass that into relationship banking.
Okay.
It's all about those relationships, and how the business owner interacts with their banker, and how the banker interacts with the business owner. So you want to make sure, or any business out there, or even personal relationships, should be the very same as the business relationships. You have to be able to, I'm going to step back. You said that at Woodland Park, you walk in and everybody knows your name. We operate that there. I grew up in the Midwest. I have these Midwestern values. Oh, there you go. I have these Midwestern values, and when you walk in, we know your name. And if we don't, we make an effort to know it, and we will acknowledge and say your name during the transaction, because there's something about that feeling that feels good. And you also have personal and business clients that can come in and they're upset, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're upset with the bank. We have no idea where they came from. There may have been a death in the family, or a friend, or somebody lost a job. We don't know, because we're not walking in their shoes, but we know that we can make a difference by giving superior service, and we're going to do that every time. So if we're making a difference, it goes back to that relationship with the client, whether you know them or not. You can still build that relationship somehow, some way. And acknowledging their names can be one of the very first ways to do that. Relationship banking for small business owners. We spoke about the PPP. It was so important that they had a relationship. And a lot of those people that came over to me from those other institutions have remained because of the approach that I take with them, or that Vectra Bank has taken with them. And it's getting to know them and their business. What does their business 5-year plan look like? I need to know that. I need to know that if I'm looking at their transactions and I see something, I need to be able to spot something that I can make better or fix somehow. I need to educate them on fraud. I need to understand what their community looks like, because their community could look very different than what mine does, outside of here. And any way that I can support the growth of that business, and by knowing them and knowing what their traditional transactions look like, is very important. I can tell if they are making credit card payments. How can I help that? How can I fix that. Does their account dip during certain times of the month or different times of the year? I need to know that because there could be a cash flow issue happening and I can address that with them. And they may not have never known that, oh, you can help me with my cash flow. And I can look at their statement and say, all right, I see this, I see this. We can put this product into place for you. If you're accepting credit cards, why are you paying X amount of fees? Let's get a second opinion on that.
Okay.
And sometimes that's all it is a second opinion. It's not necessarily that they are going to switch from, let's say, payroll providers. It doesn't mean that they're going to switch from their current payroll provider to us. It just means they're getting a second opinion. And I've orchestrated that introduction. And sometimes we can save, sometimes we can't. And we will tell them, we will be the first to tell them, you've got a really good deal. You stick right where you are. But at least they've got a second opinion.
Right.
And so that's important to have that relationship, because if you're a transactional institutions, they get you set up, they sell you as many products as they can, they set you up with online banking. Thank you, you're on your way.
Uh-huh.
And the algorithms of the internet are focused on servicing that client versus a person, a real life person that they're sitting down at my desk with me and we're talking about their business and I'm understanding their business. There's a big difference in that.
Wow, it really sounds to me like Vectra Bank cares, not just you, but Vectra Bank truly cares about its people. And I didn't know, I had no idea coming into this interview that Vectra cared so much. Like that means a lot to me to understand that, okay, it's not just another banking institution that treats everybody as though they're a number. You guys actually care. And I love that you're able to focus on the growth of the business and a healthy financial picture and being able to help people identify, okay, I'm noticing this, maybe you should take a look at this. And then if they have a financial advisor, they can go to the next steps. Or if you can solve the problem, awesome. If you can't solve it, then they can reach out to their other professionals to solve it. But I really love how you guys take that personalized approach to each account. And I mean, that's what I do in my coaching with businesses and executives is to look at what they need. And I'm personalized, very, very personalized with each client. And each client needs something different from me. I can't just go to each client and say, here's what I'm going to do for you. I insert myself into their business and into their life and figure out how do I serve them to the best of my ability. And I really feel like that's what you're doing, and that's what Vector Bank is doing. Is that correct?
That is correct. You know, business owners, whether they are a startup or they've been in business for 10 years, they should be operating from a business plan. And most of them are operating from a business plan. That's how they know if they're succeeding or not, if they're meeting their own goals. So they provide the business plan to us. I feel like my role is to provide a growth plan back to them.
I like that.
So that they can grow. And that's my role here. Avoid fees, be in the proper accounts, making sure that if there is a product that's going to make their life either easier or more profitable, that those are addressed, because those are two big things. Does it make my life easier? And is it going to make me more profitable? Because nobody wants to pay a fee unless they're getting something in return, something very tangible.
Yeah. Well, thank you for looking out for people and businesses. That's really important. So, so, so important. I'm
Well,
learning I'm learning
yeah.
so much from you today and just so much
Oh,
about
good.
Vectra. And it's, it's breaking down the stereotypes in my mind because being a city girl, then moving to the mountains and then coming back to the city, I developed assumptions and I developed like putting everything, not everything, but in certain circumstances like banking, which is one of the reasons why I haven't pulled the trigger to switch my accounts from Woodland Park to Denver, is because I was just like, well, they're banks, they're city banks, they're big city banks. What do I want to deal with them for? Because I am probably not going to get the service that I want or need, because when I was in Denver before, I didn't, with the banks that I had, I didn't get that type of service. I didn't get the I care about you. I got the, oh, we don't care about you. You're doing us a service by being our client. Like that's how I felt treated by the city banks before. Not, and I'm not saying Citibank itself, but
Right, correct.
the banks in the city of Denver.
Hmm.
The ones,
Metropolitan banks.
yes, the ones that I interacted with, that's how I got treated. And coming back to the city, I was like, I am not switching my accounts over. Number one, it's a pain in my rear end. But number two, I'm not switching my accounts over to just be another number. Like, not doing it. So I'll keep my account in Woodland Park as long as I have to.
A
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize the difference. And I'm not sure I fully understood the difference before coming to work for Vectra Bank.
Hmm.
That really opened up my eyes. Now, when I first got into banking 31 years ago, it was with a community bank and it was very local, very local. There was 2 branches, right, in this little tiny small town that I lived in. And then before I left, we had opened up our 3rd location. And then when I moved out to Colorado, I started with Wells Fargo, and that
Okay.
was a huge difference. It was a huge difference,
Sure.
and I don't have anything negative to say about Wells Fargo.
No, they
It's
serve a
just
different purpose.
they
It,
do they
yes.
do. And I found that and then I worked for another institution after that, and then I came to Vectra, and my eyes were really opened up to what a difference I could make, not only with my internal partners, the culture of the company, what the culture could do for me,
Hmm.
and then take that out to the community and share. I want to say share the good news. It's an incredible experience to have a
Yeah.
community bank. Just give us a shot. You're not going to believe what you're going to see here. And not that I go out saying that, but that's I want to shout it from the rooftops. I'm certainly carrying the company flag everywhere I go, and representing Vectra Bank to the best of my ability, because I do believe that everything is about relationships, and
Well,
and it does make a difference.
you're doing a great job representing them, and you're shouting it from the rooftops on this podcast.
I
So,
reckon I am. Thank you
heck
for that.
yeah.
Thank you.
So let's summarize everything for the audience. What are the benefits of relationship banking? Just bullet point it for me.
So the benefits of relationship banking is that if a company is having well, I'll back up a little bit. If they are going to open up their business, we had one particular business come in here, and his wife was going to handle the payroll services, and she had no experience. And I said, does she understand X, Y, and Z? Does she know the taxes? Does she know OSHA? Does she know workman's comp? And the guy was, and he was very educated, but he said she doesn't know anything. And I said, why don't you look at having a payroll service for
Hmm.
a year minimum, and then she can learn the process. And so I think the bullet points for me would be: have a thorough, transparent relationship with your banker about the whole concept of your business, and who's handling what and how it's being handled, because there's a lot out there that a business is responsible for, as you know, that really needs to be addressed, and you could really make a difference. So being transparent with your banker, and the bank needs to be transparent with you. They need to be
Hmm.
extremely transparent. And when I say transparent, from the business side of it, if you are struggling with something, go see your banker. Make sure that you have a conversation with them, because there can be a solution that you never thought of.
Hmm.
The more you know your banker, the bigger the gray area there is to work in. So if you are having, if you're struggling for whatever reason, and sometimes it's merely that the business grew too fast,
Hmm.
have a conversation. And how do you address that? Because if you grow too fast, you can lose your business before you realize it. And people don't know that. They just think that bigger is better. And that's not always the case.
That is very
So,
true. I slow down some of my clients because I'm like, hold on, hold on. I know it looks great and fun right now, but here's the reasons why we need to slow things down. So, benefits of relationship banking, what I'm hearing for business owners is that it gives them peace of mind. It gives them a better idea of what their business looks like and what the health of their business can be and should be. So these are just some of the benefits that I'm picking out that really stand out to me, and just having that safe space to place your money, to place your business. You're essentially giving your business to a person and saying, I trust you. But
Hmm.
do we always feel safe in that transaction? And what you're telling me is that's one of the benefits that business owners can gain from banking with Vectra, is that they have a safe space where they can sleep at night knowing that you've got their back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's products and solutions that can help them. There's also products and solutions that cannot benefit them. And you don't want to be in those products. So you want to definitely make sure that you're trusting your banker. There's advice that your banker is going to give you if you're open to it. There is transition planning. So if you are looking at selling your business or transferring it to a family member, generational transfers, we can help with that. So
Okay.
there's a lot more that can happen versus being a number with your institution. And I think it's important that every business owner, if they don't have a business relationship
Mhm.
with their banker, that they go form one, that they schedule an appointment or they walk in the front door and they ask, who's my banker?
Yes. Well, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for the wonderful information. Thank you for opening my mind. Thank you for showing me the light, so to speak, that there is a small town feel with the bank here in Denver. I really appreciate that. So it gives me hope when I do have the time to open a bank account in Denver. I will be definitely looking at Vectra as one of the options. So I appreciate all of your information. I appreciate all of your passion. And I have so, so, so appreciated this conversation with you. It's been very meaningful, and I know it's going to help a lot of people and remove limitations from their thinking and just help them sleep better at night too. So, as we wrap up, there's one question that I love to ask people. What do
Okay.
you do to keep a wealthy mind?
Oh gosh, that's a pretty big question. What do I do to keep a wealthy mind?
Just,
Well, I would say in
just keep
my
it short.
in my role, it's education.
Hmm.
I can't educate myself enough on what's happening out in the community, what's happening with products and services being offered, and how my business and personal clients are transacting. So for
Mhm.
me, it's helping me keep a wealthy mind by keeping my focus on my passion.
Love it. So you love to learn. Yes, and that's part of a wealthy mind. Absolutely love it. So if people want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn. That's one way they can find and see what I'm doing. They can also reach out to me by email, which is peggy.king@vectrabank.com,
Mhm.
or they can reach me by cell number, which is 720-255-6369.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing the information, and I'm sure that you will be hearing from some people.
I hope so. I hope I can make a difference in their lives.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
All right. Thank you, Misty. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And until
Thanks.
next time.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in to the Wealthy Mind podcast. Please be sure to download the Wealthy Mind app today and make sure to support your local Dress for Success.